I hope that you have had a great weekend and are ready for Monday. Mm, Monday's the catch up day, time to get all those things done that you need to for the rest of the week before War Day on Tuesday. Hey, Lily, good to see you. So, today I wanted to talk about a current events. The Supreme Court just ruled that, hey, Jaja, the Supreme Court just ruled that the NCAA cannot limit education-related benefits for student athletes. What is this going? What is happening right here? Right? If we can take it, like there's a lot of different debate about different stuff going on about this student athlete payment issue. But when we take it and we bring it back to the core, which is fundamental about property rights, right? And a fair exchange for labor, then you can understand what is some of what's happening here, particularly what Justice Kavanaugh's argument is. So the Supreme Court ruled that the NCAA cannot put a limit on education-related benefits. However, it didn't address, whether it said they could still potentially, they can't pay them, the NCAA can rule that colleges can't pay athletes salaries, for instance, or give them extravagant gifts like a Lamborghini or whatever. So it didn't really fully address the issue. It just opened up more leeway. Why is this important? Student athletes are billions of dollars of an industry. Okay, they make for the colleges, and the NCAA signed like $1 billion contract for, its broadcasting rights, right? So these people are making so much money off of these young athletes, and yet the athletes are not being paid anywhere close to a fair wage, or really, they're not really paid at all, right? I mean, they get student scholarships and this and that, but they're putting their bodies through tremendous stress. I mean, the kinds of injuries that you can get in college sports can take you out for the rest of your life. So, and they're not being compensated for that, right? They're not being compensated based on the huge value that these companies and these colleges are making off of them. Okay, so that is the issue. Now, the way the Supreme Court framed it was a little different. They framed this under antitrust law. Antitrust law says that a bunch of companies can't get together and decide, okay, this is how much this is what we're gonna sell our product for. Or they can't get together and say, and tell everyone in the industry, okay, this is what we're selling our product for, or this is what we're going to pay our laborers, right? The only one allowed to do that is the government, the US government, which gets to set the minimum wage, okay? But companies are not allowed to do that. They're not allowed to get together. That's called antitrust, and make decisions based on that. So what the Supreme Court was saying is that there's no other industry where we allow them to get together and say, well, you can't pay nurses more than this much because then they won't be doing the job for the purity of their love of humanity, right? They're like, no, that's crap. We don't say that about nurses. We don't say that about, even, the people who wait staff, right? We don't allow companies or an organization to cap that across the board for everybody out of something that, well, it's just going to make us people more show that they're more dedicated to their craft because they're willing to do it without money, right? Instead of these people are providing value, they're providing entertainment. All of the companies, the NCAA, the colleges are making billions of dollars off of their athletes. Why shouldn't they get paid in some form of compensation for that? So obviously, when you understand property rights and you understand a fair exchange of value, that makes sense, right? The argument on the other side is honestly a completely selfish argument, which is the NCAA is whining because it's saying, well, then how are we going to be special and differentiated from pro sports, right? Why are people going to watch us? Are we still going to be able to make all this money if we start having to pay our athletes? Okay, to me, that's a very whiny kind of an argument, and just a completely selfish one, in the sense that they're saying, well, how do we differentiate ourselves from pro sports if we get to compensate athletes. So I think that's hello, Vitor. I think that's a bit silly. But I understand, they want to protect their industry. And that's what antitrust does, right? The whole point of antitrust is not allowing companies to pass laws and regulations that protect their industry, but are not in line with fair value and compensation. Yes, I see you are in Brazil. So, anyway, love to hear your thoughts and ideas on this law that's just passed. And Justice Kavanaugh actually made a very good point, because he was saying that the other regulations around this, even limiting the other things that could be paid to athletes, goes against this, because they're saying now, okay, you can't pay them a salary, but you can give them all kinds of other types of educational benefits. And, what they're talking about is like you can pay them, $6,000 a year or something, which is nothing. That's nothing. I hate to say it, but I've been to college and you really can't live on that for very much in college these days, right? So, anyway, and these athletes are devoting their lives and all of their spare time and their bodies and their injuries to this. And yes, they're doing it for the love of the sport, but they're also doing it in the hope that they are going to be able to get paid and going to make it to, pro or something like that, right? So there isn't an age where we say, well, you don't deserve to get paid for your labor. And I think that's important. Even children, right? Even children, if you have children who work in your business, then they should be compensated, right? Oftentimes parents in the US, we have parents, and I don't mean like, going against child labor laws, not at all. But in the US, you're allowed to pay people within your family or your children up to a certain amount. Hey, Harshita, you're allowed to pay them up to a certain amount to work in the business, right? And we're not talking about like slaving away in a factory. We're just talking about, let's say they set up their lemonade stand, or they help out in the front, or they, maybe they take they make YouTube videos on your product, or, they take modeling pictures for the product, or whatever that is, right? So there's lots of different ways in family run businesses that children help out, or teenagers, young people, right? That they help out in the business and they get compensated for that. And they should be compensated for that, because that you're teaching them the value of the exchange, the work for money, right? That's the important thing. And so, and I've often thought about this. I'm like, you're making the child work, right? They have to study long hours. Why not compensate them for that? Then you would be teaching them, okay, you're putting in this time, this effort, this work, right? So then you're going to get paid. I know parents who pay kids for grades, stuff like that. And some people are like, oh, that's bad. But I'm like, no, not really. You're asking this kid to do work and not sit there and play video games all day. So why not compensate them for that? You see? So this is the same principle that's going on with what's happening with college athletes, except for the fact that you have this organization sitting on top, which makes money off of the athletes, which is saying, we don't want to pay these athletes. So we're going to say, you can't pay the athletes, and it's for this reason, so that the sport will be more pure, right? Okay, like the justice said, we don't do that to any other industry. We don't tell computer programmers, you can't. We're not going to change your wage. You can't get paid. We're going to set your wage at a certain level because we want you to like program computers for the love of it. I mean, come on, that's bull. Okay. So anyway, I appreciate that the Supreme Court recognized the idiocy of the NCAA's argument. So anyway, that is a little bit about that, but it's very interesting to see how that ties in to this framework, to the structure, and really understanding mutual compensation And oh no, I'm sorry, Harshita. She said she got vaccinated today and the fever slowly increases with time. Oh, well, I really do hope you feel better. I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, that's a tough one. We'll feel better soon, okay? I'm about to jump off anyway, but I hope you feel better. I'll talk to you tomorrow. So anyway, that's the topic for today, and I hope that that is a little bit interesting to see how this ties in to current events in our country. All right, you guys have a beautiful day. Have fun. Get ready for tomorrow, which is War Day. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful evening. Rest up, Harshita, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Okay.